So I just wanted to make a quick video here of my maple syrup making setup. I'm just doing this as a hobby. I don't have any wood cut up or anything, so I have to use propane. And this is an awesome little setup. I use a turkey fryer, which you can find these everywhere around Thanksgiving. Right now they're a little hard to find, but I did get one at Home Depot. I want to say it was about $60 or $70, so it was a little bit pricey just because it's March and they're not super easy to come by this time of year. But definitely, if you're thinking about making maple syrup just as a hobby and you want to make it just for yourself, just go get a turkey fryer. They work wonderfully. It does go through a lot of propane. I would say you can boil down about 2 of these kettles before you have to replace your propane. And here that's about $20 to replace that. So I'd say it amounts to about $10 a quart. Fire bricks or any kind of bricks like this, mine aren't really doing anything because I got tired of hauling them down here. But if you had lots of them and built them up around the pot, you could hold in heat a little bit better. And mine is boiling pretty good right now. You can't see very well into there, but that's what you want. You want to have lots and lots of steam coming off of there. You can also, as you can see here, I put on, this came with it, these things that help hold your pot in and keep it from tipping over. If you don't screw those on, you could lay like a more fat, wide pan on there that has more surface area so you can evaporate steam faster. But I didn't have one of those, so I'm just using the pot that came with it, and that's fine. Also, if you're using an evaporator, they usually have a shutoff on them for safety, because if you're boiling a turkey, you don't want to leave that grease unattended and keep going. But for this, it gets super annoying to have to keep cranking the timer every 10 minutes. So that's this right here. I just put a piece of tape on it so it keeps the timer from turning. And that's just kind of how I jerry-rigged it to keep going all day so the propane doesn't shut off. So if you do get one of these, you're going to run into that. It's going to be frustrating unless you know to just tape that thing down. Also, as you can see, I'm just doing it in my lawn. This is not recommended. You're actually supposed to put these on top of a level, hard surface like a cement landing or something, just because grass can be a little bit bumpy or unstable and you don't want your pot to tip over and lose everything. But mine's been pretty steady here, so I'm just gonna trust it. It's not too wobbly or anything, so I'm fine with doing it in the lawn. I don't want to use propane and fire right on my deck all day, so that's why I'm doing it out here. But yeah, you can see it's gone down about, I'd say about 4 or 5 inches, and it's been about 2 hours. It takes about 8 hours to boil the pot down, I would say, if you're not adding to it. One thing I do is I preheat sap on the top of my stove, just so when I pour it in there, it doesn't stop the boil. So right now, it's pretty early in the morning, so I'll probably keep adding to this pot. Usually what I do is I just quit adding about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then that way I can finish off the boil around midnight on top of my stove inside the house. You don't want to do the whole thing inside the house, or you will make everything in the house wet. Trust me, I've done this. Just messing around making a small pot on the stove. It made everything in the whole house wet. There was water running down the windows, and it's just not good. It'll melt your wallpaper right off your walls, so don't do that. You can even finish it outside if you want to, but I prefer doing it on the stove because I can check consistency better. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. If you just want to make yourself a couple of jars, for home use, not really get into selling it, this will do just fine. So I highly recommend trying out doing it like this. I'd show you the trees, but they are actually at my parents' house about 40 miles away, and I haul the sap back from there and bring it back here to boil it, just so I can be at my house doing other things all day. But even for this amount, we're having perfect weather right now. It's about 20-25 degrees at night and 40 or more in the daytime, so the trees are running really good. And I would say you only would need maybe 5 buckets to get enough to do this once a day. I have about 20, and I'm getting too much. So even if you wanted to do like 10 taps, that would be, you'd probably still have way more sap than you need. And you can store sap for up to a week if it's nice and cold. You can keep it somewhere nice and cold. You don't want to use it when it gets cloudy. And I'm talking about the sap, not the weather. So if you're thinking about trying it, this is nice and easy.